So welcome everyone to the Accelerators May Call. If we have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, I am Mindy Stern and I have been honored to host the Accelerator Calls for 6 years now. If this is your first time on an Accelerator call, put the number 1 in the chat so I can welcome you properly. And while you're doing that, if you have been here a while and you want other people to know who you are, please put your LinkedIn URL in the chat so that people can get to know you and perhaps connect with you. And you are all welcome to connect with me. I am always open to connecting with people who join us on our calls because I know that you're here for one reason, and that is to learn and to be part of a community, which is what we do every single month with fabulous speakers like Jeff and Kevin and Rick and Al and Carrie, and thank you all, and Sue, thank you all for being here and for supporting our job seekers. It's so important that we do that. So we have so much to celebrate today. Number one, it is a special birthday. Who knows what the birthday is? Does everyone know what the birthday is? If you're reading LinkedIn, then you know. Susan Tyson, whose birthday is today? You may be muted. I don't hear you. Is it your birthday, Susan? We can't hear you. So Susan Silva said 23 years. Yes. So LinkedIn is celebrating 23 years today. Excellent. A lot of people know that. And did you know that within the first month of LinkedIn's history, it had over 4,500 users on the platform in the first month? That's pretty cool. Also today, we're celebrating my 12th anniversary of being an entrepreneur. Yay! So you may have seen my post yesterday. I started AIM Resource Group at my kitchen table with not much idea of what it was going to be, but I am thrilled to be here 12 years later, still coaching and teaching people and really loving what I do. So to celebrate with me, I am giving you, everyone here, my top 10 LinkedIn profile tips. And so we're going to put that into the chat. If you'd like to grab it, just grab it. No strings attached. I just want you all to love and learn and be happy to be part of LinkedIn. So these are my version of my top 10 tips. Okay, what else? Okay, so today we're welcoming Jeff. Next month on June 9th, I want you to mark your calendars because we have a very special guest, and his name is Mark Anthony Dyson. And anyone who knows that name knows that he's the creator of the Job Scam Report. And we're going to spend all of our June time talking about job scams. And the title of that is going to be Clarify, Verify, Don't Just Apply, How to Spot and Avoid Job Scams. That registration link is ready in the chat. So if Lori will put that up, you can register for it right now. That's on June 9th. We are all, I was just talking to Jeff in the green room about how we all are getting scammed all the time, and we must be vigilant about that. So join us in June to learn how to find it, how to protect yourself, and how to, avoid it. Very, very important. Anyone who's been with us before knows that we all collect nuggets. The golden nuggets that you hear from Jeff will be so, so important. And Sue Griffey is like the queen of so many things, pom-poms, stickers, and nuggets. I think she does win the award for the most nuggets. When you hear something that is really meaningful to you or something you think other people should know about, put it in the chat. I'm going to grab all those after our call, and I'm going to create a post for tomorrow. And in that post, I'm going to list all those nuggets so that if someone has missed the call, they can just go to the post and see them all. So if you see nuggets, if you hear nuggets, put them in the post, and we're going to get started. Beautiful. Okay, so this is your time. You get to ask Jeff questions. He has volunteered to answer everything, and we're supposed to stump him. So this is his 3rd year doing this. We have never stumped him yet. So if you are the one person to stump Jeff, you get bragging rights for a full year until he comes back again next May. Okay, fair enough. um, we promise to do our best. So the way we're going to ask Jeff questions is if you wouldn't mind raising your hand. So just like that, so that you come up to the top of the screen so that we can see you really well. And of course, I have plenty of questions for Jeff in case you guys are so shy that you don't want to ask. I sense that we will get some good questions though, Jeff. What do you think?
I certainly hope so.
Jeff, you want to say hi to the group before we get started?
Hi to the group before we get started. Okay. My name's Jeff Young. I'm the LinkedIn guru, they tell me. Okay. I didn't put that name on myself. Other people put that name on me. Okay. And, you know, the funny thing is, if you look guru up in the dictionary, you see the word teacher, okay, which is what I've been doing for about the last 18 years. I've been teaching LinkedIn. And so far, so good. Nobody's stumped me yet. But you got to understand, you got to realize that I don't know is a valid answer. But as long as I can point you to someone who does, then I've answered your question. So, and also guru, by the way, I've had people joke with me about guru. I've had some people come up to me and say, you know what guru is, right? You know, guru is an acronym. It actually stands for general understanding, relatively uninformed. Okay. Well, I would like you to hopefully by the end of today, think that guru stands for gets to uncover the real usefulness instead. Okay. So we're going to start with that and we'll go from there. Okay.
All right, Jeff. So I am ready with my first question. And anyone else who's thinking about questions, just raise your hand when you're ready to get started. So I would like to know, by the way, most of these questions I'm going to be sharing it with you, Jeff, people have sent to me in advance because they knew they couldn't be here or they wanted me to share it for them. Perfect. What would you say are the top 2 LinkedIn activities you recommend to move the needle in terms of visibility and engagement? What do you recommend? Top 2.
Okay. Well, it is all about discoverability. LinkedIn has become a platform where if you don't do something on LinkedIn and you are not active, LinkedIn loves activity. And if you're not active, then you are not doing what you need to be doing. So to me, especially from a job seeker perspective, and I'm going to answer these usually because I concentrate on helping job seekers. So I'm kind of going to answer most of this stuff from a job seeker perspective. Okay. But to me, the 2 main activities that you need to really do is basically put your profile out there. Okay. And make it exactly what you want to be found for. Make it not about what you did before, but what about you want to be when you grow up. Okay. So from that standpoint, the activity should be concentrating on your profile, getting your profile up to speed, getting it and continuing to keep it updated and put the information out there that will help you. There's a lot of detail to get to that, but you've got to do that at least initially. Okay. Then the next one is really from the standpoint of what you do when you are on LinkedIn. Now, I realize that not everybody has 24 hours a day that they can spend on LinkedIn. Even me, an old retired guy, doesn't spend 24 hours a day on LinkedIn, although some people might think I do, because I've had a lot of people compliment me by saying, wow, you respond really quickly. Well, they just got lucky and I happened to be on when they were on. And then when they ask me a question, I answer it. But it's from the standpoint of the activities kind of break down into 3 different areas. And the 3 areas that I normally talk to in almost all my seminars is talking about profile. Okay. Get your profile straight, get your story straight and put that out there as much as you can. The second activity has to relate to be people. Make your network, build a network. And I'm not talking about building a network of people who can fog a mirror. I'm talking about building a network of people who you are going to build some long-term relationships with. And then the third P is participate. And that's where the rubber really meets the road. Participating on LinkedIn in one form or another. A lot of the folks on this call have talked about, well, posting is participating. That's right. But honestly, I don't necessarily think you necessarily have to post in order to participate, in order to be successful on LinkedIn, because I think you can do the same thing by commenting on posts and being a part of the process. As a matter of fact, I think John Espirian from the UK earlier today did a ratio analysis that says he comments 12 times for every time he posts. Okay, and I got to tell you, my ratio is even higher than that. I mean, I can show you on my profile where it says from a weekly tracking standpoint, I've done one post this week so far, but I've done over 60 comments already this week. And so that's where I think that's where the activity really starts, and really you make a big difference. Now, commenting just for commenting's sake is not what I'm talking about. Commenting to add value is what I'm talking about, because that's how you get a reputation as being a subject matter expert. That's how you fulfill the expectation of get to uncover the real usefulness instead of uninformed. Okay.
Jeff, I agree with you so much about the commenting piece. And a perfect example is me and Carrie Bryson. We met in the comments, okay? And maybe a year and a half ago, Carrie, probably around that time, maybe 2
I think it was the same.
But it was just from commenting. And I have met the best people just by exchanging comments. And so that is, to me, number one. You got to be active and you got to be commenting. You've got to be reading people's posts and understanding and connecting with them. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not a platform that rewards, even if you've got the perfect profile. Okay, it doesn't reward that, because LinkedIn loves activity. LinkedIn loves that you get out there, and updating your profile is activity as well, but on a consistent, and it was somebody who made a comment earlier today on your post that said, today's the day. Okay, authentic, consistent content. That's really where you need the rubber meets the road. And those two words are important: authentic and consistent. Okay. You can't expect to put something and comment once a month and get anything done, because nobody's going to see you for at least a month, right? Unless you're there on a consistent basis.
Right. Exactly. Love it. Love it. We have a hand raised, and the person is Stuart. Stuart, can you unmute, and perhaps can we see you? There we go.
There we go.
Greetings.
You hear me all right?
Gotcha.
God, that was terrible. God, it's awful. Hello from the UK.
Stuart from the UK. Go ahead. You're on. What's your question?
It's some strange question, actually. I found that I'm watching a lot of videos, which go on for 30, 40 minutes, and I want a transcript of the video. How do I get that on LinkedIn? Because it doesn't seem to be a feature that's there.
Oh. Well, that's really not a function of LinkedIn that it allows. It's really a function of how the video was created. A lot of videos on LinkedIn will at least provide closed captions.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah.
But I don't think you can, unless you can download the video, I don't think there's a way of getting a transcript of it.
Right. That was the question. Does anybody know of any tools that can do that?
Yeah. Because I don't think you have to have control of the video. Now, what you might want to do is, if the person who created the video is willing, you might want to comment on their post and ask them if you can have a copy of it. It's their property, obviously, but you have to ask. And obviously, if you can get them to trust you enough to say it's really only for your own, use, that transcript would be really useful, I'm sure.
Yeah, the reason I ask is a lot of people put up some really interesting videos, but you know what you're like, your attention span isn't great, even with the captions. So after about 5 or 10 minutes, you're thinking, I've just forgotten what they've said. And so you're spending half your time, and then you've kind of lost the will to sort of add the value comment really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I was just curious whether there was a feature for that at all, or anybody. That's fine.
It's not on LinkedIn that I know of.
Stuart,
does that count as a stump your question then or not?
Stuart, just so you know, Kevin answered in the chat something.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I don't know, Kevin, if you want to speak to this, but he says you can use dictation in Microsoft Word.
So a tool outside of LinkedIn might be.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean replay it and then start the dictation to record?
That's normally how I do it. If I want a transcript that I can't get off LinkedIn, I just put my dictation on Microsoft Word, and it does pretty good. And it will give you the transcript, and then from there you can work with it in a Word document or take it other places. But there's a lot of different ways like that. The iPhone, you can do dictate to a message back to yourself. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. LinkedIn doesn't do it because it's trying to protect content.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you.
And John Aspirian, was that similar to what you were going to say? You said there was a third-party solution?
Yeah, there is. It would involve downloading the video. So you use a third-party app to get that, and then you can put it through a transcriptor So it's possible. I don't really like the business that does this, but they do offer a free downloader and have tested it and it does work. So if you don't want to actually watch the video at all, you could get this done in, a couple of minutes for even a long video. But yeah, it would have to be personal use only. You wouldn't want to rebroadcast that content elsewhere. It's not your content, but it is doable. So I can show you how to do that, Stuart, if you want.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. I'll get off. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the question. One of the great things about the way Mindy does this, for example, is that she's recording it, of course, right? But she's also generating through Zoom a transcript of this this actual workshop as well. So a lot of folks will do that for you and allow you to get access to that on the replay, as an example.
Excellent. Okay. So, Jeff, what do you wish people would ask you, but they rarely do? What would you like people to know about LinkedIn that people just don't even know enough to ask? Those people who say, gee, I'd like to know, but I don't even know where to start. What are some things that that we don't know, that we wish we knew?
Well, a lot of things that happen from that perspective is how to be. I mean, it's why I wrote the book. Be effective on LinkedIn. It's identifying some things that people don't normally think of. Okay, and one of those things, for example, is that I think that I realize we live in a mobile world. Okay, and this thing should be Vulcan mind melded to my head because it's important that you have a mobile phone, right? And LinkedIn is a mobile device as well. It's a mobile app as well. But I believe that being on the desktop is more effective because of the fact that it's so many things that you can keep and bookmark and save and et cetera. So getting access to something on a very quick basis is there because it's there usually in the desktop form. Okay. As an example, there are a couple of things that are out there from a job seeker perspective. There's one called Job Search Guide, and there's one called Job Search Checklist. And the only way that you can access those, you can't get to those through the phone. The only way you can access those is through a bookmark or through a link on the desktop browser. Okay. So, and those are fairly interesting. They might be helpful to job seekers, especially because they're kind of a checklist as a step-by-step walkthrough. Okay, as an example, would you like me to put those links in the chat as an example?
Sure, that would be great. While Jeff is doing that, just a quick reminder, if there's going to be so much information in the chat, go up to the top of the chat and you'll see the 3 little dots. Click more and hit save chat so that you can grab it after we're done. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Okay, so first one I talked about is Job Search Guide. So I'll go to that one. This is a Job Search Guide. It starts out with, again, it's all based on the job seekers. It takes you through a setup of things that you can go through. And I won't go through all of the detail here. As you can see, there's quite a few different things that you can use to search and explore, et cetera. One of the reasons I like this one is that it actually allows you to open the AI search inside of LinkedIn without actually changing it from the normal usual search you get when you actually go to the jobs tab. Okay, so you can actually open it in a separate entity and not change it from the original to the AI beta search. Okay, so the AI beta search is available right here. So again, I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to copy this and drop it in the chat real quick. Okay, so there's one of the links. Okay, and that's useful for people who are in the job search to check that out. And as I said, just to illustrate this one, for example, okay, this is how you would do the search within AI. It takes you to the AI search. This is an actual natural language search. Okay, so describe what you want, and it will actually start bringing that stuff back to you. That is different, okay, than going to the jobs tab, okay, and doing a search this way. This is the normal search. Okay, now it's not that you can't search back and forth here. If I actually go search for project managers in Columbus, Ohio here, okay, that brings those up, and I can then actually try the new job search this way as well. But when I change it here, it changes it permanently, And until you come back here and change it back, it doesn't work. And one of the things I want people to know, and that a lot of people don't understand, is that the AI search for jobs inside of LinkedIn is still beta, okay? And it's not totally working yet. One of the things I like to use here, for example, is a filter that talks about verified jobs. So there's spam recruiters, there are spam jobs out there as well. Well, there's a filter out here that if you look at it and scroll down, you can find jobs that have verifications. And that's an important filter to be able to use. That filter I have tried and tested and tried it on the AI, natural language search, and it doesn't work. The verified filter still isn't working on the AI search. Okay. All right, and then the other one, okay, the other one is the job search checklist, which is similar, but again, it's somewhat different because it's got a lot of other kinds of things that it can help you in terms of this is what you should do to stand out. This is what you should do to stay current. All of those kind of things that are there, it's all there, and it kind of gives you a progress meter, as well. But that job search checklist is another one that you might want to consider taking a look at and maybe using in the future. Let me paste that. And
Thanks, Jeff.
got it.
Great, cool.
All right, let me go back to here and I'll stop sharing, I guess, because I like seeing people's faces. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so there's a question in the chat. I have to go up a little bit. Give me a sec. Oops. Where'd those go? Okay. Okay, this is about response rates, and this is from Audrey, a question. What's one small but high impact change someone can make to their LinkedIn outreach that significantly improves response rates? Audrey, are you talking about response rates to what? Response rates to your posts, response rates to your job search? I'm not sure
I guess if they're trying to contact somebody, either to connect or try and, connect with the hiring manager, how you get them to reply to you.
A technique that I would definitely recommend, Audrey, is that if possible, sure, and if you have to, okay, you can in many instances, because some people pay for LinkedIn, some people don't, you can try to, again, contact that person through the comments. So if they're actually active on LinkedIn and they're doing something, commenting on their stuff would get you some more response as well, especially if you add value to the conversation, right? And it's really just a matter of being respectful to that person and saying, if they'd like to connect, okay, ask them if they'd be willing to connect in a comment, and maybe then you can actually do the connection that way as well. But here's the beauty of LinkedIn that not a lot of people necessarily maximize in many instances. They don't maximize their network, because you should try to find, if you're interested in getting connected with someone, you should try to find someone who is already in your network that knows them already, that is already connected to them. Okay. And if you can get to that person, then you can go to that person and say, hey, would you be willing to introduce me to someone, okay, as an example. So when you go to someone's profile, it quite often will show you mutual connections, okay, if you're connected with a person. But if you're looking at a connection, you can see who they know, which might be useful to you. So if it's a second degree, you can see that you already do know someone, and a simple DM to someone that you already know that said, would you, also being respectful, would you be willing to introduce me to this person, is really the best of both worlds, because that's the warmest introduction you're ever going to get. Okay. And that's why I say it's important for you to, the people portion of the 3 Ps. Okay. It's important to build relationships with people so that those people will know you well enough to expect and respond favorably when you ask them to introduce them. I would bet you dollars to donuts. Mindy and I don't remember how long you and I have known each other. There are a lot of people on this call that I've known for, maybe a decade or as such. But, if I were to go to you and I was to ask you to introduce me to one of your connections, I'm sure you would. Okay. And as a matter of fact, I've had people who do that. There are people who do that all the time, who send me a DM and say, I'd like to introduce you to someone else. Okay. Doing that yourself will get you that back as well. You get that, reciprocated in many instances as well. Does that help?
What's the best way? Because I had to Google this to find out how to like introduce somebody. Um, there's different ways. What way would you recommend? I typically reach out to their person first and, mention the other person's name and, try and introduce that way rather than putting multiple people on the same conversation.
Same DM. Yeah.
They don't want to agree to meet that person.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's being respectful from the standpoint. I would ask them first if they are interested in talking with another person that I know. Okay. But, in a lot of instances, especially if you get a really good relationship with someone, for example, the people who know me know that they have carte blanche. They can do that second option. They can introduce me to anybody that they want to because I trust them to introduce me to someone who's useful to me. Okay. So, so I've given them the ability to do that through the DMs and just, so an easy way to do that is just going through DM and asking first and then seeing and then following up with it and, and introducing two people. I think the best use of LinkedIn that anyone can ever use literally is because it's a networking tool, because it's a 24/7, 365 networking party. I think the best use that anybody can use of LinkedIn is to find someone who has a need, find someone you think that can fulfill that need and introduce those two people. That's really the best of all of them.
I love that. I love that. And Jeff, thank you for that. I just want to say that John Aspirian is adding value in the chat. If you're looking,
always,
Audrey, he said, ask a simple to answer question. I end my invitations with, would you be willing to connect? Super simple, direct, and then it's their choice if they would like to connect or not.
Yep. I said that same thing.
Exactly right. Exactly. And I love the concept of introducing people to each other. I like to make introductions. I think it's very important to be a connector. And I love to be around super connectors who do that as just part of what they do every single day. And people are always connecting to me, and I'm always happy to talk to them and help them any way I can. Absolutely.
Yep. They're literally, honestly, Audrey, there are groups of people that I talk to, for example, on a regular basis. I mean, there is one group of 4 people that we have now had one chat session that has been going for probably 5 to 6 years. And there are 4 people on that chat. So, once we agreed that was, how we were going to share things, there are individual DMs perhaps, but there are also, it's kind of become a group conversation. And it's really been beneficial because you've now got 8 eyes instead of 2, that you can actually have people see things and help you with things and come back to you with suggestions, and you can ask questions. It's fabulous. Okay. So those little groups are important as well.
Jeff, we have a lot of questions coming up in the chat, but Rick is raising his hand, so I'm going to go with Rick first, and I'm going to try and grab some of these questions that are here in the chat. Go ahead, Rick.
Right. Perfect. Thanks.
Hey, Jeff, tuning in from Nashville, Tennessee. Love your stuff here, man. So I got a question. I joined LinkedIn in like 2004. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't do anything with it for 2 years. Late 06, 07, got into full-time recruiting, really got active to build my network. And I was trying to connect with anybody and everybody, right? So my question pertains to this. In terms of topics, you mentioned discoverability. And so the topics I post about, my personal opinion, and I'd love your take on this, is, I don't want to be a one-trick pony, even though executive search and compensation is my niche and my expertise. I post broad sometimes, and then I do personal stories, and then I do niche stories about my space. Do you recommend staying in one lane due to the new 360 brew algos? Are you okay with some broad posts, some narrow posts? Because when I look for candidates, I look for well-rounded candidates. That's also what I like from people on LinkedIn, but I'd love your take as an expert.
Yeah, I think, again, that the authentic, consistent content is the one that's going to get you the most traction. Okay. Now, does that mean that all of your posts have to look the same? No, they don't. There's lots of different methods of doing that, but the message has to be consistent. Okay. I mean, if for me, what that's become, and I'm going to have to just illustrate this as far as my experience is concerned, because I've now become the guru because I do a LinkedIn tip of the week every single week. Okay. Now that doesn't mean I don't repost other stuff. I reposted Mindy's post this morning, to give it a boost because I want to say, yo, folks, come join me, come join me on the Stump the Guru, my favorite game show, right? Okay. So that was a part of, that's a part of my posts as well. But my posts are going to have that same theme because they are always going to be about helping someone be more effective on LinkedIn. Okay. So that's the consistent content that I'm talking about. So as long as you're not talking about, I think what the algorithm might take exception to, I don't know this because nobody knows this absolutely for sure anyway, but what the algorithm might take exception to is posting about this industry and then posting about that industry, okay? Two separate kinds of things. Now, if you did both of them on a consistent basis, it still might pick up on it, right? But it all depends. It all depends on what kinds of reactions you get as well, because you're not the only person who's going to determine whether or not the algorithm picks up on this and it likes you or not, right? So it's really more about the engagement you get. And that then means there's a sweet spot. And that's what I'm talking about. And if that's what you call a lane, yes, that's what I call a lane, the sweet spot, okay, that comes across. Because again, I think that makes the biggest difference. One of the things that you can do to determine this as an example, and I don't really want to concentrate on numbers. I'm not necessarily a chase the metrics kind of guy, but I do like to put, a finger on the pulse and figure out whether or not this has actually been any good or not, okay? So on an overall basis, here's something that I'm looking at right now. I just noticed, over the last 8 weeks, every single one of my posts has gotten over 100 comments, okay? Have they all gotten thousands of views? No, but they all have gotten over 100 comments. So the engagement is really what's getting me where I want to be on LinkedIn, okay? And you can even do this if you want to. LinkedIn, you're the only person who's ever going to see the number of impressions your post has got, right? I can't go to your post and see how valuable it's been from an impression standpoint, how far-reaching it's been, right? You can do that only on your own stuff. Well, here's something to take into account. If you want to take a look at something that might be useful, okay, take a look at the number of reactions, plus the number of comments, plus the number of reposts, put that into a formula, add those three up, and then divide that into the number of impressions. And what you're getting there is something that I've talked about years and years and years ago. I call that my engagement percentage. Okay. So for example, the post that I did on Monday, the post that I did on Monday, I just did that little calculation just a couple of hours ago because I was interested because I got 100 comments in a day, okay, on that one. So it was obviously something that really was something that people were interested in and wanted to talk about. So and of course it was about LinkedIn's birthday. So yeah, a lot of people would want to talk about that. But the point is that when I did that calculation, I had the number of reactions, the number of comments, and the number of reposts, and divide that by the number of impressions. My engagement percentage was over 16%. Now, I got to tell you that don't concentrate on the numbers. If you're doing something and really with 1.3 billion people out here and lots of posts and lots of people are posting, et cetera, okay, you should be shooting for something that is probably between 3 and 5%. And if you're getting 3 to 5%, I think you're doing fine. I think you're doing great. I think that's successful. Okay. So that's one way of using a little bit of the metrics to determine whether or not you're in the right lane or not, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thanks, Jeff. Because as my grandmother says, impressions don't buy no biscuits, right?
Bingo. Exactly. People talking back and forth, and getting to know you, like you, and trust you is what buys you business. Yes. What gets you business.
Thank you.
Yep. My pleasure.
Thanks, Rick. And thanks, Jeff. Here's one. Somebody asked, let me see who did. Okay. This is from Monica. For clients who are updating their profile, how far back should they go in making updates? In other words, how much time should they be looking at their older experience? Is it like a resume where 15 years is enough, or does LinkedIn like more, or is it less? What's the word on that?
Well, the method that I've always used with this one is when you are doing any kind of an update to your profile. Okay. The good news about the profile versus resume is that you could go back as far as you want. Okay. I mean, you could have your entire career history on there. And if you look at mine, you got to see that I have my original job from 1978 out there. Okay. So I've got an old job out there. But here's the rule of thumb that I always use, okay? Because this is kind of, I hate to do this, but this is kind of maybe the consulting answer. It depends. It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on where you want to go. Because again, ask yourself this question, okay? If you're considering putting something on or taking something off or changing something on your profile, you should ask yourself this question. What am I doing right now that will help me get found for what I want to do in the future? And if the answer is yes, put more of it on there. I mean, I want people to understand that I am old. I've been around forever, okay? And I've had a 35-year career, and now I've been retired and teaching LinkedIn for 18 years. But I want them to understand that I was in the corporate life. I want them to understand what I did. I want them to understand that, I'm not looking for a project manager job, okay? But I've got my project manager experience out there because I did that for 35 years. That is a significant portion. And oh, by the way, I'm still managing projects. They just have to be my projects, not a corporation's projects, okay? So from that standpoint, I think the best thing to do is determine what you believe will help get you found and then include it on your profile, no matter how far back it goes.
I love that. I'm going to repeat that, Jeff, everyone, because I don't know if they all heard it, but ask yourself, what am I doing right now that will help me get found for something in the future, something that I want in the future? And I think that's a great rule of thumb to ask yourself. I love that. I love that. That's a great nugget. Excellent, Jeff. We have a question from Lance. Welcome, Lance. I didn't see you earlier. Welcome.
Hi, Mindy.
Lance
hi,
is calling
Jeff.
in
Nice
from
to see
Canada,
you
I
again.
believe, right?
Yeah, I'm up in Canada. Like Rick, I'm a recruiter as well, and probably have seen 4 billion resumes in my life, and hired and fired a million people, and done interview coaching and all that sort of stuff. So I love having this kind of discussion. And a small anecdote: I took some stuff off the old parts of my resume years ago when I was job hunting, and it threw the recruiters because they said, "Well, you have no manufacturing experience." I said, "No, I did 15 years ago." "Well, it's not on your resume." So it actually went against me in a couple interviews because they said, "Well, where was it? And what else are you hiding?" I'm like, "I'm not hiding anything. It's just ancient history." So I just didn't think it was relevant to what you're talking about, what the job is about. So I took it off. And so then I kind of amended that to the old stuff, let's say account management and marketing roles in the following industries. I gave it like 3 sentences instead of a whole page.
Right, but it's there.
Ask me about the details, right? So that was my bridge because some people do seem to get quite suspicious that somehow you're hiding something, and so yeah, sometimes you've got to put it on. But you don't want a 3 or 4 or 5 page resume unless you're the dean of a university or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I feel I guess I get it. I mean, it's maybe a human kind of thing to do, Lance, but I wonder why people think that if something is not there, okay, that you're hiding something. Okay. You made the determination about how important it was. You did,
Yeah.
but they didn't tell you how important it was up in the front because if they had, then you'd have been able to put it there, et cetera. I think each person needs to determine how important it is to their career going forward, and that's why I said earlier that that's what belongs on your profile. That's what belongs out there. And
Jeff, another quick note on that was, people try to hide their age. Like they don't publish the date of
I was
their
going there.
undergraduate or their college or university
Yep.
degrees,
I was going
thinking
there.
like this will make it harder. And recruiters have been doing this for a million years. So I look at when I graduated and then I try to ballpark when they graduate, right? And again, in certain HR channels, they would say, you can't even talk about this. This is ageism. This is discrimination. I'm like, yeah, but as a recruiter, I'm just wired that way, and I think a lot of people are. They're trying to get a reference point, right? And so I don't know how you get around that. And you just really need to find an employer that doesn't care or actually wants you to be older.
Yeah, exactly.
We want your experience. We want you
I
to
think
come
that's
in
the
here.
key. Ageism works on both ends of the spectrum, right? If you're a kid just coming out of college, you don't have any experience, so so they're looking down at you because you don't have any experience. If you got too much experience, you're going to be overqualified, or you got et cetera, right? Ageism is something that I get it. I know it's there. What bothers me about it, as far as LinkedIn is concerned, is that I agree with you. I'm looking for somebody who's interested in hiring me for me, not necessarily how my experience, my school, my skills, my talents, not necessarily how old I am. Okay. And that's why I don't hide any of that kind of stuff. Yes, you can hide the fact. I could hide the fact that I got my bachelor's degree in 1980. Okay. Right. Okay. So does that mean my bachelor's degree has no meaning now? I don't think so. I mean, come on, it's any education is good education. It's not about when I got the bachelor's degree. It's about what I've learned between 1980 and now. Okay.
Yeah. But that's to your point, Jeff, I think everyone needs to find an employer where they fit into the mix of people.
Exactly.
Like I've been the 40-year-old at a video game company where everyone was about 25 years old, including the 3 founders, all under 30. And it was hilarious because there was me and maybe a handful of people over 40, and everyone else was under 27. And they would occasionally ask a question, and I would answer it, and they'd go, "Oh, where did that come from?" And then when they think about it, they go, "Oh," like I was looking holistically, they were kind of looking minute or finite little macro sort of thing. Anyways, after I left that company, I went to another company where the eldest person was almost 70 and the youngest was 18, and there was a huge spectrum of ages.
Wow.
And I just
very diverse.
This is more representative of the outside world. I just felt normal again. I didn't feel like the oddball.
That could be a big plus because of the diversity in ages, right? And again, I've just determined that I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put the truth out there and let it fly the way it goes. Okay.
Thank you, Lance, and thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Julie Marcus has her hand raised. Julie.
Yes, I just wanted to add to this. Nobody can change the number of your age, right? You can change other things about yourself, how you may present, way you answer a question, things like that, but you can't change your age. It's what it is. If you're 27 or 77. So throw that piece out the window because it doesn't serve any purpose for anybody. And look for companies that are more diverse, age-wise, experience-wise, and sometimes it's not in the obvious places. Like it could be in the not-for-profit world where they're open to people crossing over from corporate and being senior enough or having seasoned experience to be in the not-for-profit world. So it's adjusting where you can.
And I totally agree, Julie. And I got to tell you that's where your network comes into play as well. Okay. You need people in your network that can tell you where those companies are. You need to find those companies and leverage your network in order to find that kind of company that has the culture that we've been describing here, that is not necessarily about ages. Okay.
Because everybody's skills are transferable somewhere to the right environment, the right culture, the right job. It's just having the patience and time to go and do that and look for it.
Well, and again, I think LinkedIn helps you do that by what you put on your profile to tell people what it is that you're looking for and how you network to tell people what you're looking for as well. Okay?
Sometimes, yes.
It's got to be a part of your process.
Jeff, as part of this conversation, Linda Brubaker has the question. A lot of people avoid putting their dates of graduation for fear of looking too old.
Exactly. I don't avoid that.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of said that earlier. I just put the truth out there and let it fly the way it flies. Okay. That's why when you look at my profile, and if you actually scroll far enough down to see my education, you're going to see in one of my listings on education, I got a bachelor's degree in 1980. Okay? And that's there. I don't hide it. Because again, why would I give somebody a reason? Why would I give somebody a reason to try to figure out how old I am? Look at me, folks. Okay. Come on. It's like, look, I'm sorry. I probably flashed with a very, very bright bald spot right there. Okay. So, I know I got a bold spot. Why don't, if they don't see that and they can't see that when I'm actually going to interview with them and talk with them and network with them, they're not going to know me. Okay.
All right, let's go a little broader. I don't want to keep focusing on this age question because we can go talk about this all day. This is from Rick. What are the biggest mistakes users of LinkedIn make that harm the discoverability besides inactivity? We know that if you're not active, you're not going to get found. Are there other things that people are doing on LinkedIn in their profile that could harm their discoverability besides inactivity?
Yes.
What
couple of things first of all, okay, and that is actually I put out an extended list of links, and one of those links out there is something called LinkedIn by the numbers. Okay. One of the things that people don't realize, especially from a job seeker perspective, that is very harmful for them to not have a current position on LinkedIn. Okay, because LinkedIn searches eliminate them from the top. Okay. Search criteria if you do not have a current position. Now, look, you don't want to lie, okay? So in many instances, I've told people that, okay, keep your current position as long as you can. If you're still receiving severance, if you're still there, okay, keep it. But when you don't have that position anymore and you need to terminate it and you need to be truthful, okay, again, I'm all for being full disclosure and being truthful. Take that one and make it a not current position, which means that will drop you in the search results until you actually do something that I think is important on your search, on your profile as well, is if you don't have a current position, you need to put a current position out there that will describe what you are looking for and how you're looking for it and what you want to be when you grow up. So you've got a current position. For example, look, I've been retired for 18 years, okay? But I have 4 current positions on my LinkedIn profile. 4, count them, okay? Because I'm volunteering for other people, and those are sufficing for current positions for me, okay? Now, the other thing that a lot of people are doing is that they're not checking, and I'm glad we finally got to this one because this may be the last kind of thing that we can actually talk to. Last try we'll get to talk about this, and that is about market value titles and the right keywords that you have on your profile. So many people are not determining what the keywords are that they need to be found for, okay? So for example, one of my best friends here in Columbus, Ohio, I've known him for ages, probably since about 2001-ish or something along those lines, okay? He's a project manager just like me, okay? He wants to be a project manager. He wants to continue to do project management work. He has the term, the phrase, the keywords, project manager on his LinkedIn profile 60 different times. And the more you have it on there, the more you're going to get found for that particular keyword. So you got to find that. Now, is project manager a market value title? Well, again, I've got a post that I could actually show you from Kevin D. Turner, who's done one of the best jobs I've ever seen about explaining market value titles. And it's a video. So I could actually put that in the chat if you like. I don't need to share my screen to get it. Just let me go grab the link real quickly, because I want to give credit to Kevin for doing this, because it's a great video that talks about what a market value title is on LinkedIn and why it's important that you match LinkedIn's database. That's really what this is talking about, matching LinkedIn's database. Oh, and it's actually okay. Let me grab it, make sure. Okay, quick copy. I'll even put a note on market value filter is what actually Kevin Turner, and paste, and there. Okay, in the chat. Okay, so those are the 2 things that I'm talking about here. Okay, make sure that you know how LinkedIn works, because if you don't have a current position, you're being downgraded. Okay, and also make sure that every single one of the places where you can use a market value title. And before I finish this, let me tell you the 4 most important places on your profile. Okay, the 4 most important places you have this is, if you look at mine, you're going to see it. You're going to see LinkedIn Trainer, LinkedIn Training, LinkedIn Tips in many different spots. But the 4 key spots are your professional headline, your about section, your experience section, and your skills section. Those are the ones that get searched when someone is going to LinkedIn and doing a LinkedIn search. And those are the ones that need keywords, and those keywords need to be market value titles. That's as succinct as I can get that explanation without going into a lot of display and showing.
Did you want to talk about finding keywords on your profile?
Okay, if you don't mind, I would love to do that. I will share my screen to do that one.
Yeah.
There's a little trick that I use, okay, to come up with so you can actually do your own checking, okay, to see what keywords are on your profile and how many times, okay. So this is kind of how I know that the guy for project management has it on his profile 16 times. Okay, so let me go to my profile. All right, so now watch closely. Good thing this is being recorded because at least you can come back to it if you need to. But I'm going to utilize a browser trick. It's not an actual LinkedIn function. It's a browser trick to actually do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is from my profile, this is my home page, if you will. This is my profile page, okay? What I'm going to do is go up here and I'm going to click Edit Public Profile and URL. Now, the reason I want to do that is that I want to go to a place where it actually expands the text on the page. So now, as you can see, even though the About section on my original profile would only show 4 lines, this now shows my entire About section and a bunch of it. So everything else is expanded here, okay? So this is looking at a web page, if you will, of your public profile, which is the same thing. It uses the same information. And it's not everything, but it's most of it, okay? Now, here's the browser trick. Hold down the Control key and press the F key. When you do that, what will pop up is a little search box up at the top. See it? Everybody see this? Okay, so I'm on my public profile. I've now pressed Control F. And oh, by the way, if you're on a Mac, it's Command F. Okay, so a Safari browser uses Command F. Okay, and then I can actually type in something like LinkedIn Trainer and note what it's doing. See the number up here after the search criteria that I've entered? It tells me now that it's going to show me the first one of 27 different times that I have this on my profile. And here's the first one. Okay, as you can see, it's highlighted right here. Okay, and then I can use these up and down arrows to actually travel through my profile and find it. So as I said, where are the keywords important? They're important, by the way, in your professional headline. There's my professional headline, LinkedIn Trainer. Okay, there's my About section, LinkedIn Trainer. Okay, there's one of my experience sections, LinkedIn Training. You get the idea. Okay, it's going to be proliferated throughout my entire profile 27 different times. And what that really means is that if there's somebody out there who has it on their profile as a LinkedIn Trainer 26 times, they're only going to show up below me. If there's somebody out here who has it on their profile 28 times, they're going to show up ahead of me. Okay, but here's where the rubber meets the road, folks. Okay, the whole point of doing this is so that you are discoverable, so you are found. Let me do a quick search and watch what happens. Okay, I'm going to do a quick search for LinkedIn Trainer. Okay, so there's LinkedIn Trainer. Click LinkedIn Trainer, and I'm going to go look for people who are LinkedIn trainers. Okay, I want to be found, and of course, I want to be found specifically for me in my local geographic area. So after I go LinkedIn Trainer and tell it I want to look at people with the people filter by clicking on people, okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do locations, and I'm going to type in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, Columbus, Ohio metropolitan area, and show the results. This is what I'm talking about, folks. That's me at the very top of this list. So if you're looking for a LinkedIn Trainer in Columbus, Ohio, you're going to find me. Yeah, you're going to find some other people as well, but I'm going to be at the top of that list. That's why those keywords are important. That's why those keywords are definitely something that you've got to have on your profile, and keep looking at them. There are other keywords, there are other market value titles that are important as well. The industry that you've got on your introductory section of profile is important as well, because that will help you get matched for the right industry. Okay, the degree that you got on your education. I actually did a post about this some time ago, not too long ago. It's got if you look at my profile and you look down at the images, you're going to see the invisible man unwrapping his gauze and throwing it away. Okay, well, you'll be invisible if you don't do this, which is go to your experience section and make sure you've got the right degree in your market value filters as well inside of each of the areas of as far as your education is concerned. So,
Jeff, this has been fabulous. I'm going to ask everyone who's in the room, put the word value in the chat if you found some value today's call. I'd like to see how many values we get. Jeff, this is like applause for us. It's like your report card, right?
I saw one value with exclamation marks across the screen. That was fabulous.
I love that. All right. Yes. This is how we thank you so much. And if you have a reaction button and you want to give Jeff a little love, that's good too. Just show him how much you love what he did today.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Now, by the way, I got to say, obviously, I knew that we would probably not answer everybody's questions, okay, in this call. Okay, you can always comment on one of my posts and ask me a question there. You can always try to send me a DM and ask me a question there. Well, John, I love you're doing lightsabers. You're doing lightsabers. He was doing lightsabers.
John, very cool.
For a reaction. I love it. Okay, but you can always ask me that way as well. So I would love to answer your questions if I can. You know, even though I didn't have enough time to answer them today, I knew I'd not have enough time. This went by. I blinked and it was an hour. I can't believe it.
Well, we will definitely be, Jeff, we will definitely be having you back. And I want you all to check tomorrow. My post goes out at 8 a.m. Eastern. And I will have all the nuggets, as many as I can fit, into the post. And also the replay link will be there. So if you want to watch it again, you want to see something you may have missed, check out my post tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And you can put questions in there as well. Jeff, can you be monitoring my post a little bit tomorrow as well?
I always monitor your posts as well. I've got you on speed dial, Mindy. So you're one of the people that
I do you. So if you put questions in there tomorrow that you didn't think of today,
we'll
be happy to respond. Okay.
Yep. I will try to get.
Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure seeing you. Hey, Ken Lang, welcome. Glad to see you made it.
Thank you.
Hey, Ellen Patton, Linda Brubaker, thank you so much. Lance, Kevin, thank you so much. John, Ralph, Rick, Audrey, thank you for being here. Sarah, Matthew, Phil, Lance, Paul, Graham Ray. Hello, how are you? And thank you for being here today. Julie Marcus, thank you for participating. Appreciate you. And we will see you next time. Don't forget, June 9th is Mark Anthony Dyson. We're going to get to the bottom of scams once and for all. Kenneth, you should be here because Ken's going to talk about a similar topic in September. So we're going to try and coordinate. I'd love to see you all next month, and I hope you'll have a brilliant day.
Thanks, Mandy. Thanks, Jeff.
Don't forget to save the chat. Thank you, folks.
Don't forget to save the chat. Good reminder.
I just
sometimes you have to do it
chat again,
multiple times.
Jump into the chat and save it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye now. Have a great day.
All right.